genuinely his last name?
No, that's his stage name.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, wow, that's interesting.
Hey, can I ask you guys real quick, how can I turn it down and on my side? Because I'm hearing myself and it's delaying and it's throwing me off.
Um,
I don't
I
know.
have no idea.
you're hearing
Sorry.
yourself?
Yeah, like I know I want to hear myself, but it's so close that it's throwing me off. Maybe if
No,
I
for
move my
sure.
mic back, is that good?
Yeah, no, you sound phenomenal.
Okay, that's what it is. I'll just move my mic back a little.
There you
It's
go.
so sensitive. I'm in this corner of my room, so I think that's better. That's way better. It
So-
just sounded like real on top of me.
Right. So there should be like two things on your mic. One's gonna be like monitor or you voice. Like, so what's coming from me to you and what's coming from you to you. And then one's should be for your headphones, or at least that's kind of what I have here. There's like the one for how much I can hear and how much I can hear you guys, and then the volume of the actual headphones. So I don't know
Gotcha.
if you want to play around, but you sound phenomenal, and I don't kind of.
No, you're good. You're
keep
good.
it at that.
And you guys sound good.
Well,
It was
we
just like
are
I said,
live,
it felt real on
guys,
top.
and we are live on another amazing podcast episode, Late Night with Chefs. Truffle Boy and Doug here reporting for duty. Wonderful
Here we
guest,
are.
Chef John in the house. You're actually going to be our first chef to make a comeback. Now, the first time we had you around, it was just me and you, getting intimate into the details and such. But we did have a little bit of technical issues, and I think we want both our viewers and you to get the full experience. So we're going to kind of erase whatever that was the first time going around. And then we're going to document this and, make it nice and pretty. So welcome to Late Night with Chefs. Chef John, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm doing good. Doing good. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Yeah, like you were saying, last time I was traveling, I didn't have a good connection. So, now I'm home, got to get set up. Pretty happy to get this going, especially now that, let me get this. You're a Truffle Boy and then Chef Doug.
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
Doug.
All right,
Doug and
cool.
Truffle Boy.
Doug and Truffle Boy. Okay, cool. All right.
And
We didn't have you last time, so this is great. I'm super
Yeah.
excited. I'm
Yeah,
That's probably
excited
stuck
to
behind
have
a line somewhere.
getting
Yeah, exactly.
introduced.
Conversation bouncing
Chef-
everywhere.
Chef John, every podcast I ask our guest chef to say hello to all our viewers tuning in. So if you could pay your respect to our viewers, say hello to them.
Absolutely. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for lending me your ears and giving me a place to chat this evening.
Awesome. I love
Definitely.
it. It's like my first thing. I put everybody on the spot. Everybody kind of reacts differently, but this is something that we've built up on, and we also have a great closing question for you. So, but that will be a little bit later at the end. Now, I kind of want to start off this beautiful podcast and just kind of having you run through your background and what made you so passionate, what made you fall in love with this industry. And how that kind of all got us started. So if
Awesome.
you could start us off there.
Yeah, no problem. So I was born in a small town, Hickory, North Carolina, very rural. It has a metropolis to it. It's not very big. So like I said, very rural. My dad, born and raised in the same town his whole life. My mom comes from Costa Rica. So grew up, in a Southern household and a Latin household. So, very heavy handed on the cooking in both those cultures. So that's basically where it started. Both my grandmothers cooked, 3 meals a day, big families, took care of a lot of people, did a lot of things, worked full time. So food was just always there. When I was real young, probably 8 or 9, I got super interested into cooking. My brother, he's 9 years older than me. He's a chef. He's, over 20 years in the game. I think he's on his way out, which, peace, power to him. We all come to different bridges in life. So,
Yeah.
100%,
you
100%
know,
on that.
it's
Especially during the COVID pivot era.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that was a big thing for him, getting older, starting a family. Um, it just really started to, click in his head to maybe get out and do some other stuff. So yeah, as a kid, got interested in cooking, always in the kitchen, looking around, paying attention, obsessed with cookbooks and, cooking shows on TV growing up. My brother gave me Kitchen Confidential at 14. Read it. I was hooked. I knew it was what I was going to do. Even in my teenage years, after high school, I kind of floated around and did other jobs. I wasn't really focused.
What were
And
the other
worked.
jobs? I'm just kind of interested.
I worked as a valet when I lived in Miami.
All right, all right.
Oh, there you go.
That was pretty cool. But it was also at the hotel that my brother was a sous chef at. So, he kind of got me in, and, I wasn't really focused. I was making good money. I was partying. I was young. It was Miami. And, the rest
You're
is history,
parking
as they say.
expensive cars as this, young kid. You're having a good time.
Oh, it was amazing. I can still remember some of the cars that I got a chance to drive. I think top tier, and I don't want to sound. I'm not trying to sound brag on this, but it was an amazing experience. I got to drive a Maybach.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That was pretty incredible. There was some other cars, but to me that just was. It was like driving on a cloud. It was amazing. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the only car that can get away with having curtains inside. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
absolutely. Absolutely. It was insane. It was incredible. But saw a lot of other sexy cars, throughout the beach.
Right. Taking somebody else's stick shift and playing around in that. Have you had any experiences?
I got to drive some exotic cars, but not far enough to be able to do anything like that. And they were also frowned upon it. So you got to be very careful.
Got it. I definitely had a different experience. I also valeted. I actually got my first valet gig when I was 15. And I said I forgot to bring my driver license to the interview, and I got the job. But I remember taking this
Wow.
Porsche GT3 stick shift, not knowing how to drive stick shift, like stalled the car 3 times, backed into a curb, brought the car back up, have a nice day, got my tip, and that was that. But this is Chicago, so I mean we were parking like 250 cars a night, and it's just things you can get away with. But we used to do reckless stuff with other people's vehicles.
Vlad, remind me to never let you park my car.
I was a troubled kid. I mean, I was really.
I was too.
Living on the high life, trying to.
I guess growing up in the country, part of my life kind of got some of that out of me. But yeah, I don't know. I just respected. I don't know. And I'm not. I mean, I saw it. People did all types of crazy shit. It was nuts.
Right.
It was.
Are you down with
it was
OPP?
wide open. Man, that's like I was super young on that. Is that Naughty by Nature? Naughty by Nature? Yeah, bro. Super young. But having an older brother, 9 years older, I was
and that's an awesome introduction to have a brother. First of all, getting you the in. I mean, you work valet, you're ready. I work valet, and you sit outside the restaurant, and you're like, man, I want to be inside this. And in Chicago, I had to, do it in the rain and in the snow.
Oh man!
And we're looking inside the restaurant. There's like people in white coats making food and stuff. And then the valet always gets like 50% off. Usually the meal. So we're always eating good at all these restaurants. We're like that was my kind of in too. Is that
right?
You're already part of the industry, right? You're
serving, it's the hospitality.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that makes you I think as a business person, if you kind of work in every field and in every position in the entire industry, you get a better sense of what people are looking for and how to achieve that.
Agreed.
So,
absolutely.
Moving on, valet, early couple gigs. But back kind of to the cooking, unless you had any other kind of cool off stories and early job experience where you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna go cook.
A couple of things, a couple other, some warehouse stuff, a call center, definitely things that weren't for me. That people from where I come from, they're they're okay with those jobs and they settle into that, and that's fine. That's good for them.
Right, we need those people too.
Right. But I was always curious and always ventured, and working in restaurants. When I was super young, like 10, 11, 12 years old, those troubled years, when I would get in trouble, my mother would make me go work with my brother. And, he was a sous chef at a hotel in downtown Orlando. And I'm sitting here, I got to peel, potatoes and clean the dish pit. And I got a little French chef yelling at me and throwing pans of something I've never seen in my life, you know, but I was hooked. It was something I knew I was comfortable in. It was just something about walking in the kitchens, especially like that. Those were old school kitchens. Those were definitely places that, chefs went to die. And so there was just a lot of anger and animosity in those kitchens. So, anyways, a couple other jobs. Then, I moved to the city of Charlotte, and I started, serving, bartending. I got more interested in cooking, went to culinary school, and but right when I decided to go to culinary school, I had gotten into back of house. So I was probably about 7, 8 months in, as far as like working a steady job in the back of house. And then I went to culinary school, and was working full time. I worked a part time job, and I went to school full time. So I put myself through the ringer.
Busy.
Super busy.
How was culinary school? Because me and Doug went to community college, and you attended.
I went to the Art Institute, so not far off from a community college.
Still, I mean that's
but
you're paying a lot more the big bucks. The Art Institute, I feel like.
I agree. And if I could go back, what I recommend and what I would tell people, anyone that's interested in going to school, go find a community college or, like a specialty college, something like that, an inner city college that offers like a cooking course, like a 2 to 3 month course, get your certification, get your serve safe, because then you're going to go in the industry. We all know, you work in different restaurants, you're going to learn different things. You're going to learn how this chef does something, that chef does this. It's all about experience. School
Right.
just teaches you the basics. So like I said, if I could go back, I would save that 40 grand and fucking spend about, $400, $500, take a 3 month course and then go work every fucking where I could, which is kind of what I did. I just did it, way
Right.
more extensively.
I think that opinion, and I think me and Doug could, I mean, we would say the same, right, more or less, but I think that opinion comes with experience, because as a young kid, trying to put myself back in those shoes and thinking that I could just walk into as many kitchens as I can to learn how to cook. I think just having culinary school gives you that time to like learn at your own speed
Yes.
and get
Yes.
comfortable at that.
Yeah, I don't want to take away from that at all, because my brother went to Johnson and Wales, which, big school.
Which is, yeah,
And-
creme de la creme.
Yeah, absolutely. And he got an internship and he worked it and got a job, and it led him into his career, and he's been super successful. He's worked all over the world. The last company he worked for was a Michelin quality catering company.
Mhm.
It blew my mind. I got to go help on a couple of occasions, and just the quality of food and the level of everything, it was amazing. It was awesome. So not to take away from those higher
Right. But
academic places.
I guess to better position my question, what would you recommend a person that's just about to attend culinary school to get as much value out, right? Because I guess you get as much as you put in, but what are some things you found yourself whether it's, taking different courses or classes, but how do you get the most value out of culinary school?
I would, if I were, okay, just take the time, just like you were saying, take the time, learn how to learn what you need, learn your skills, get comfortable in a kitchen, take your time, maybe work a part-time job. I was maybe a little eager, if I look back, but I was hungry and I wanted to do something. I was at a point in my life where I felt it was make or break and I needed to get rolling along with something in my life. Um, so if I could go back, I would definitely take my time. That's a great recommendation. I definitely like where you're going with that. Um, it's they offer a lot of insight. There's chefs there that, I mean, I still think about some of my chefs from culinary school and their mindset. Some of some small little jokes they would make, things like that. So enjoy it, embrace it, because it's not always going to be there. Just like the dream job. The dream job is going to be amazing. You're going to love it. You're going to work. You'll be comfortable after a few years, but then maybe you want to venture further. Maybe you want to do something else. But always enjoy
Right.
and take your time.
Right.
That dream will continue to evolve past the present.
Yes,
No, for sure.
absolutely.
I was watching like your mind explained kind of thing, and it was talking about memory, and this kind of where like I always like I had like this crazy thing where it's like our memory and its effect that like the things that we remember in the past didn't actually happen as they did or in the sequence that we did, but and that's why our perspective also changes. So you can have a goal to uh, be a sous chef at a an American fine dining establishment, and then once you're a sous chef, you realize, well, this is not actually what I was chasing or the feeling or
Right.
whatever it may be, and then that's kind of with me. Like I started into this industry wanting to be like a chef and then a business owner, and then I got into the Michelin environment. That was kind of cool. And my perspectives changed and my ambitions changed and my goals changed. And then I was in a Michelin environment and I was like, yeah, okay. And then that changed, and then so every time it's good to have goals and chase your goals and be eager, but your mindset also changes. Everything changes. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it should. This is one of those industries that we can chase your dream, or we can chase our dreams. You can set goals that seem impossible, but once you start working towards them, especially with the chef's mindset, you're like knocking this off, knocking that off. It's like a prep list for a
right,
dish. You're just knocking this, knocking that, done. All right. Well, by the time you get there, sometimes you don't even realize it. You look around, you kind of have to like take a step back. Um,
Right.
that's like been my biggest thing with starting my own business. Not only in the in 2020, one of the worst years in history that we've all lived through and seen, but just taking that step to even start a business, it was very scary, but I knew I wasn't going to stop pushing, stop learning, stop growing, and I still today, and I will tomorrow, and you know until I keep notching those things off.
So that dream evolves into something else again.
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
So before we get onto what you're doing now, if you can kind of give us a brief history of your past work experiences, and then kind of like bring us up to COVID time, like February, March, and then how did you pivot, and what did you do during those months?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was working and I started school. So, I was working at a restaurant. It was about to close. Nobody knew that at the time, but it was on its way out. So, I found a new restaurant this place was great. It was, I was in culinary school, and then I worked in this place, and it was all from scratch. We'd break down whole pigs. We got a half cow in one time. We broke down, we had enough beef to feed the town. It was insane. Um, just a place that was just wholeheartedly rustic from scratch. He focused on pastas, a lot of classical worldly cuisine. So that, like, off gate with culinary school was just, my mind was just pushing, what's next, what's next. So I left there and I went to work for another kind of Mediterranean style restaurant. It was family owned, Serbian family, a mother and two sons. It was great. I learned a lot of traditional classical dishes, very, very, very
So
high volume.
buraks, cevapcics, all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, what is it? Kara
Kaima.
Georgieva. What else was it? Dekla Schnikla, things like
Yeah,
that.
Doug. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you have
that's
to give me a
It was
lesson here,
awesome.
Vlad.
indigenous food might not know a lot about. Serbian
Yeah,
food.
there was one we did.
I do.
It was basically like a rolled pizza. But once it came out, they would put cold pizza sauce and sour cream on it. And I was very skeptical until I tried it, but
And then you were like, this is delicious. Yeah.
It was amazing. We also did swarma, which, traditional is like fermented cabbage leaves, like the meat rolls. So like, cabbage rolls, sorry. But they ferment the cabbage first, and then they do this awesome meat mixture that's got this amazing, it's almost like lomo. So it's the tenderloin, but it's Serbian. It's the way they do it. It was, man,
No,
that's
they
one
have
of
a
the
good
best things I've
cuisine.
ever had.
Isn't that crazy that, 100 miles, north in Europe, now you have, guamkis, which is the same thing as what you're describing, except, the cabbage isn't fermented. It's, a filling of usually like rice and meat and, cabbage that's rolled. It's a Polish dish. So now you have, it's weird how we were kind of talking with our last chef. He was talking about, the different utilization of ingredients and all these different recipes. Once you start tracing it back, you can see kind of where that trade route sort of, made these dishes develop.
Absolutely. That's so cool. I love it.
I think when we
this doesn't have anything to do with Europe, but my sister-in-law, my now sister-in-law, she's, I think, Persian somewhere in her descendant of family, but she gave me this book. It's called The Silk Road. And I'll get back to, which ties into another place I worked, but it's very interesting, awesome, like the history of some of the spices and things, and exactly like you were saying, the trail of kind of, where food, started and the traditions of the places. I love it.
Yeah, Chef Yazi was very descriptive on, bringing back from, native indigenous food. You have corn and you have squash, and then all of these things branch out and you see these little tentacles throughout all these different recipes. Tracing it back is always very enlightening experience to realize, hey, we're really not that different. We all using the same ingredients, just in these, special, our own ways.
I mean, imagine
That's
being
exactly
on the
right.
Mayflower and you're like, oh, what seeds did you bring? And you're like, oh, I brought some this, tomatoes, potatoes, this and this. And then you got like one guy, he's like, yeah, I brought some White Widow OG Kush. I got. It's like, I think that guy too, because I mean, that all migrated, and it's crazy. The more we learn about food, and I think the deeper we dive into different cuisines, we see how similar everything is, and how
Absolutely.
there's the
I
main
agree.
10 things that everybody kind of has in a different like twist or whatever, due to whatever spices, or produce are in their surroundings. And it's, then you talk about authenticity, and then, to chefs, that's kind of like the most bullshit thing. And it's so hard to be authentic because, if one guy makes a deep dish pizza that way, and then another guy makes a deep dish pizza that way, but you like Illuminati's versus Giordano's, then when you go to, Giordano's, you're gonna be like, Illuminati's is more authentic, more deep
Yeah,
dish.
absolutely.
And it's like, no, it's not. It's just different. It's just a different perspective, different spin.
It's a different
And
take. That's right.
David Chang's new book, Eat a Peach, I'm reading it right now. And the chapter I read today, he talks about how authenticity, do we use it as a tool to grade how well we're doing something, or do we use it as a tool to grade how poorly we're doing something? And it really just depends on what side of that authenticity border you're looking at. It
That's
can
like
go both ways.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's a
it's a
good way to
hard
look at
thought.
it.
There's like so much you could think about it, right? Because
But you just got, it's
if you
like you
think
got to
mac
pick a
and
side,
cheese
I
is done
think.
bad, right? Then you go the more authentic,
But do you
what?
like Alfredo? If you don't like mac and cheese, do you like Alfredo?
But
Because
Right. Do
what's
you
the
want it more
difference?
runny?
Right,
for sure,
exactly.
oh, viscosities. There's so much things that we think about, and I think as chefs we judge ourselves so hard, and we see all the missteps and all the different things because we have so much experience and we've seen 6 mentors do potatoes different ways, and we've seen mac and cheese done different ways, whether it's done with the roux or Velveeta, or we had Chef Meyer in culinary school saying carry around a packet of American cheese, and if you break your butter sauce, throw a little nibbit in there, and there's enough chemicals and binding agents to bring that sauce back together. So it's just like,
Yeah,
and
it's,
then
it's
going
hard
back
to break
to
American cheese.
exactly. It's impossible. It's plastic. And then talking about Anthony Bourdain, how he would carry seafood bouillon packets in
Bouillon.
his
His
chef
his
jackets,
jacket
and
and his
then
roll
the
up.
sauce tastes better. And working at Alinea, we would pour MSG into everything, and
Oh hell yeah! I use MSG at home all day long,
exactly,
all the
it
time.
tastes amazing, and you don't got to know.
Moderation,
Yeah,
moderation.
it's
It's
just
it's it's not
it's
that bad for you.
Everything in
it
moderation.
has to be
That's
the
right.
best, right? It has to be the best because people are paying money, and they have so many choices to go to, right?
Absolutely.
What's gonna make them, and if it's adding a little addictive additives, then so be it. It tastes
Just
amazing.
don't mind the headaches. It'll be okay.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's right.
I haven't had
You
headaches.
you got to start dosing up.
Yeah,
Then you get used to
you
it, and
dose
you're
them
fine.
up.
You don't even get a headache.
So like the canapé has like 0.005, and you
Right.
just dose them.
Yeah, you dose
The
up.
dessert
The
is
next
just
dinner, go a little
MSG
heavier.
crumble.
And work it in there all throughout dinner.
Oh goodness.
All right, but getting
You
off
heard it here
topic
first.
off the MSG crumbles for
MSG
dessert
microdosing coming to Vlad's restaurant.
could be a
That's
thing.
right. That's a good idea.
I mean, but then
Bring the
you look
MSG
at
back.
you look at MSG, and then you look at like gazpacho, and you add bread into the soup or sauce, whatever you're gonna call it, and that's glutamate. You're adding literal MSG into there. So it's just kind of like all your perspective and knowledge of and how you see it, right? I think to be a chef, or to truly call yourself a chef, you need experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. You need to have a good palate, experience. Whether you want to eat something or not, at least taste it, spit it out. Rinse with water, whatever. Do what you got to do, but exactly to understand, which experience comes with that, and that's part of gaining experience. Don't be afraid. Like I said, spit it out, but you know what it tastes like now. You didn't have to eat it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm right. I agree.
Taste the terroir. Pick up a little bit of that Nashville dirt. Give it a little taste.
Absolutely. You go right out here on the, I don't know what hole this
Honestly,
is, the
dude,
8th hole, and
I
pick
think
up some
maybe
grass.
300-400 years ago, people would taste their soil and see what I guess minerals are in there or whatever. But I know that terroir had different soil has different compositions and different tastes. But I'm not saying or advising anybody to go eat dirt, but saying I think
Be good for your immune system.
in terms of even chefs nowadays have such a disconnect from farms and where everything's growing, and even foraging and stuff like that. And I think when you work up to the higher end restaurants, you have like all these cool foraging wild products that get brought into your restaurant because you're such a niche market. But it exists out there in the wild, and you or me and Doug can go out and forge it ourselves if we had the knowledge, right? And
Right,
I think
absolutely.
that's a big disconnect that I've seen, and the movement's been going on for years now with farm to table and um, kind of getting back to
Hyper
the
local.
roots. Yeah, super hyper local, being in your radius,
Oh
cooking,
yes,
cooking in season. That's all kind of
super
making
big
a
here.
comeback, from lamb chops and mint jelly from a jar. But
Right,
yeah,
exactly. All this commodity, product that's out here and gets readily used. Uh, it's super big here. Yeah, I mean, you can find farms. You throw a change out of your pocket, you're going to hit a farm around here that's going to produce high quality, whether it's meat, dairy, produce. People care here, and I know similar. It's very similar up to Chicago. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make it up there yet, and try any cuisine, but I've heard great things, and I know what to expect when I come up there. Um, but I know, like I said, you guys have a similar thing. Everybody cares about the produce. You've got amazing farmers around catering to the needs of the chef. You know, seasonally, even if they got to go a little extra mile, they make it happen, and it pays off in the dish. It pays off in the long run. It produces that whole cycle. You're taking care of the people around you. Another small business, which is my opinion how restaurants should work. But
Yeah, it helps create
like I said,
a
that's my opinion.
yeah, sustainability. It
Yes,
definitely
exactly.
helps add to that. I know we talked to Chef Pope Pumpkin from the Pink Grouse in Virginia. He was talking a lot about trying to remain as hyper local as possible, but still recognizing the quality of ingredient. So not serving something that's local just for the sense of it's local, but also that this is local and it's the highest quality that I can, procure.
Yes.
I think that's super important because if you serve something that's hyper local, but the farmer doesn't necessarily have his heart in what he's doing, and the product that's coming out is subpar. It's great that it's local, but if it doesn't taste good and the heart's not in it, then people aren't going to come back for that. And
Right.
so all this process has happened, and then at the last final step, it kind of just fell flat.
right. And I think we had Chef Troy on the pod mentioning Dan Barber and his amazing farm to table concept and how
Blue
he's
Blue Hill.
yeah Blue
Yep,
Hill
Blue Hill.
and how he's taken a beet and made it made the beet be eaten raw and like made it so sweet and made it like to where this beet you want to eat raw and then like
Right.
he like changed the field and he changed the game entirely because it's like
It's like designer
he's
food.
right he's teaching his guests that are coming to dine in that this beet is good cooked, this beet is good raw, and like now you know the difference and I'm here to educate you and besides the other 1,000 different projects he has going on. And it's just amazing how far you can take a single thought and a single perspective. And I think that's an amazing thing, and he's paving the way. And chefs like us, we buy their books and we read the recipes, we get the concepts, and we try to implement it and bring those into our restaurants as well. And I know he also had a butternut squash that was like a sweeter, smaller version
Honey
of
nut squash.
honey
Yeah.
nut squash. Yeah,
Honey
and
nut?
that's
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
like
served them for a little bit. They're really
right.
good.
So 5 years ago, he started this, and now it's like mass produced, and all the big purveyors, produce people will now carry that or grow that.
Yeah.
So it's incredible, how like one chef's opinion to make a squash better and sweeter and more presentable, and then how that's in our restaurant now. And then, would you say your guests are getting as educated on honey nut squash? Maybe not as much as, when they dine in at Dan Barber's, but that's also on us to explain that story to our guests. And
Yeah, that's part of front of house's job. That's when you sit down, pre-shift hey, I chose to use this, whatever I chose to use this squash. The squash comes from this farm. They grew it specifically for us. I wanted this flavor profile for this dish. You know, whatever the chef or whatever, I'm trying to pass on to the guests, because I can't, like you said, obviously touch every table. That's their job. That's where they come in, and that's a lot of people that are looking for that experience in that fine dining. They want that. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for knowledge and to understand, like, yeah, this came from 20 miles down the road, and it's beautiful, and delicious.
Yeah.
So
100%.
absolutely.
So kind of jumping back on, talk me through early months pre-COVID, and then kind of when COVID started hitting, and how, your perspective changed. How did you stay motivated? Kind of what were your ups and downs, and how did you get to where you are now?
Gotcha. Yeah. So I, worked all in Charlotte, worked, moved up, I got like a lead line cook, then to like junior sous, then moved into a sous chef position, worked as sous chef at 4 different restaurants. My last one being a James Beard nominated chef. Uh, uh, William, sorry, I call him Billy, but William Disson. Um, he's gonna be mad. But Chef Billy D. He's got a couple restaurants in North Carolina. Um, Great. Everything we did was completely sourced within 20 to 50 miles of the restaurant. This was in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's basically modern American Southern. Great. We had an amazing kitchen, great technique, beautifully executed dishes. It was great. Left there, came to Nashville to continue working. Um, and by January of last year, I was pretty burnout. Just from working and moving and just experiencing the same thing. And not that Nashville's a bad place to work, but it's a very food driven city, and you can just get sucked into the vacuum of it, and you just go into that mindset of work, 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 work. And not that it's bad, and not that I don't want to help other people accomplish their dreams, but I have goals and things that I wanted to accomplish, and I couldn't do it working 80 hours a week for someone else. So I decided to like cut back, uh, take some or teach some cooking classes at Sur La Table part time, and then slowly develop my side business, is what it was going to be at the time, which is Proper Provisions, on the private chef side, more private dinners, catering, meal prep, things like that. Small corporate, luncheons, things, just small intimate things, which was going decently well on the side. And then COVID hits, and it just goes, sur la table, I get furloughed. Um, and as it's warming up, business is picking up. So, I didn't think twice about doing it, even though it was 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, or at the beginning, I should say. But I just went with it and I ran with it. I started building clientele. I was getting things like every week, every other weekend, and it started being every weekend, and then it was 3 to 4 events a week, all up until probably the holidays. I took a massive halt over the past couple months, but things got real crazy and wonky all over the nation, so that's understandable. I kind of just played it by ear and took my time, and which leads us to now. I've got a couple things that I want to push forward and do, and start kind of almost a different branch onto the company. Not exactly um, keeping the same name with. Basically, I'd want to do a pop up. Been talking to some chefs around the city, just getting perspective, and kind of getting in their ears a little bit, and just basically working towards that. So
All right.
That answers part of your question.
I have a lot of
That answers
questions
part of your
to
questions.
follow up on everything I just heard. So one,
Yes.
what was the longest pickup in that restaurant that you worked in for Chef Billy D?
As far as
Like so I know every restaurant has one dish that every line cook hates because it takes an obnoxious amount of prep, an obnoxious amount of pickup time, and you kind of have to nail it right. Was there a dish in particular
we had
that
a couple small dishes. There was one that was a smoked chicken dish. It was really nice. It was done with rice grits, and then we would smoke boneless chicken thighs, and then we'd braise them down in like some demi, some chicken stock, a little mirepoix, smoked vinegar. Um, that dish was awesome. But if you didn't, on the pickup for the chicken, if you didn't do the right amount of butter and demi, you're just creating this soupy mess that we didn't want. And we would have line cooks that couldn't get this sauce together. So we really dreaded it. It was a delicious dish, and it took care of itself. But these kids couldn't get the sauce right, and they'd come up with soup, and it would, so we didn't enjoy it as much when we didn't have a cook that could execute the dish. So that would be one. And then we had a duck entree, which the set was simple and easy because we played it at the pass. But the duck breast was cooked from raw. We didn't sous vide it, so the pickup times just varied, and some of the cooks. I'm not going to speak negatively on the area of town where we had cooks, but Johnson and Wells really pounded the industry in Charlotte, and there was a lot of green people that came to work in a lot of nice restaurants.
Hi, yeah, I
And
just finished culinary school. Can I get a executive
I'm a
chef
chef.
position?
I just graduated. I'm a
Ooh,
chef.
peeling potatoes?
So it was just a lot of that.
My mom said I
but
don't
the
peel
duck dish.
potatoes.
My mom
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
My mom said I don't
My
peel
mom said I
potatoes.
don't. Yeah.
Chef, where do you keep the boiling water around here?
I need you to empty the hot water on the coffee maker, please.
My mom said I don't peel potatoes. Oh, Lord.
Here, can you take a 48-gallon of water and make a water reduction? Thanks.
Oh man, it's insane.
So we have a
Asking for a
viewer.
left-handed ladle.
We have a viewer tuning in on Twitch. Filled Soda is asking, how do you approach a small private catering event? How long do you spend developing menus, etc.? And do you shift yourself a little bit, hoping it all goes well?
So I customize
I think you might have.
everybody's
The last question was, do you shit yourself a little bit? Hope all
every
is going
day.
well.
Every day. You're not doing it right if you don't shit yourself a little bit every day.
So how do you approach a small private catering event? Like, what's your rundown? I guess, and it's a good thing for me too. I'm kind of getting back into the private chef groove. How do you get clients? How do you develop your clients? How do you close the menu packages? Do you have things that are already preset? There's a couple menu items that is a must in every event, or is it kind of tailored exactly to each individual person?
Yes, I customize every client's event to what they want and what they need. So prices vary for them. The size of or the amount of food, it all varies. Just whatever they want. If they want to have an intimate 5-course, 6-course meal with wine pairings, boom, I can do it. If they just want buffet family style, cool. So I customize. There are a few things I do love. Pasta's really, one of my biggest repertoires. I've worked in Italian restaurants for a big majority.
So you've built up those finger calluses.
Oh, absolutely. These things, yeah.
Doug's
absolutely.
favorite pasta maker is Felix from Los Angeles.
Is that the
Evan
I'm
Funky.
not a fan, but the
Evan
bigger guy?
Funky.
Evan
Bigger
Funky's
guy?
a chef, yeah.
Big guy.
Felix
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
restaurant.
It's pretty
the
gnarly.
biggest fingers I've ever seen
and he just
just
cranks it.
beautifully doing
He
like
gets it done.
tortellinis and
Yeah,
like
he just cranks it out.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, I got a shout out to my chef and mentor, Trey Wilson, custom shop and flower shop in Charlotte, North Carolina. Dude is a pasta machine. He's been all over, traveled all over, he's studied all over. His bread game and his fucking pasta game are fucking out of this world. He told me when I first started working for him that it would take me a year and a half to just, get the feel for dough. And I was like, bullshit. I was a little arrogant fuck. Uh, I would come in every day and
Aren't we
make a batch
all?
of pasta. Yeah, aren't we all? Exactly. No, there's no ego. There's no ego in the
Yeah, right.
kitchen. Yeah,
No.
yeah. There's nobody that tells you there's ego in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But I would make pasta every day, just to get the feel of it, But I shit you not, it took me almost 2 years to really understand what you can really do with it. Even if you fucked it or if you haven't fucked it enough, it's amazing what you can do. And it's a lot of fun. It's very zen-like for me.
It's incredible that you take semolina, which there's thousands of different, are you gonna go double OO? You're gonna go O? Are you gonna go the Caputo? What brand do you like? And then egg yolks, and then egg yolks, range in aesthetics as well, right?
Right.
Did they
Flavor,
feed it
absolutely.
chili flakes, and is the egg yolk super red and says organic?
Right.
Or is this coming, from a Tyson's mass-produced hen hatching farm somewhere?
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, it comes down to it.
And then, you make, how much you need it, how you work it, how dry you get it, how you store it. I mean, I think those simplest things are the hardest things to nail and take the most experience, because there's no hiding behind anything.
Agreed. That alone, that right there, is kind of my mindset with food in general. I think the more simple, the better, because exactly that. You can't hide behind anything. Your shit has to be on point. Like, there's no hiding. Like, I have 4 ingredients. That's it. And that's just an example. Just you hit all. You hit the profiles: salt, sweet, fatty. You hit those things. Texture. That's what cooking is all about, and learning. You play, but it's hard to be simple because you can't hide. And I keep that with me a lot. Especially with plating, because there's times where I'm like, God damn it, that plate is disgusting. It's ugly, but they loved it. It was delicious. They cleared it. They thanked me. Like, we all have those moments.
100%.
It's
I
hard
know
to be
exactly
simple.
what you're saying.
It's hard to be simple.
I feel you right now. I feel your pain.
But back to his question. So I customize my events to whatever they need. So basically, they communicate to me whatever they want. I propose a menu after I've thought about it, pricing, this and that. We go back and forth, yay or nays, get it done. And then, I prep everything and I show up at their house and I fucking bang out dinner and go home. And half the time they're so wasted by the end of dinner, they've completely enjoyed themselves. And, they tell all their friends, and word of mouth is a good way to get yourself out there. Some form of social media, a website, anything like that, so people can contact you. But word of mouth is going to be your best friend, especially in the beginning. So I hope that answers some questions for our viewer.
Yeah, in terms of how long do you spend developing menus? What do you go about, and what goes into that thought process, and like what's your inspirations, where do you draw from, and then what are kind of keywords that people say in your conversations that makes you go one route or another route?
A lot of times they give me a lot of freedom, so to me that I do stuff that's comfortable, meaning it's stuff I've done before, but I do it, I do variations of it,
Right.
or I change it, or, I played it different or utilize it in a different way. Um, so that's kind of where my mind goes. I also, since you know, by myself, 10 to 15 people, a plated dinner, I'm hustling all night. It's pretty busy for myself.
Yeah.
If I can get another chef buddy to help, it cuts back a little bit. I don't have to run as much. But I try to think about that, how much work I'm going to make for myself, how much time I need to prep beforehand, how many days ahead I need to do certain things, how long of a shelf life I have on certain things. Some things need to be done day of, some things need to be done 2 days out. They can hang out because they're not getting cooked until day of.
Right.
So shit like that. It's definitely always something to think about, which, as a chef mindset, you should always be thinking at least a week ahead, no matter what. Whether it's ordering or prepping or planning a new menu or releasing a new menu or meetings, you should always be thinking at least a week ahead. And I know that's not the easiest thing to do, but that's kind of where my mind goes.
So
Especially,
I'm gonna have a very challenging question. I think that everybody in the catering or private chef industry is kind of went through or is going through when they're starting off is how do you price your time, right? You're telling me I gotta prep a week in advance, I gotta make a custom menu for this 10 top, for
Four
this 2
thousand
top.
dollars.
money, please.
I'm taking my past experience, whether I'm gonna go with, a locally forged mushroom that's gonna be, super expensive, or, using some organic eggs, organic, not organic, huge price difference. Like
Locally
how
sourced products, absolutely.
how do we comfortably price ourselves? That has been my hardest thing, right? Because
Yes.
you don't have a dishwasher, you don't have a prep cook, you don't have front of the house staff, and if you have front of the house staff, they're not getting tips, they're getting hourly. Like that's a
Yeah, they're
completely
getting a
different ball
good
game.
cut. Yeah.
You're buying these ingredients, you're going out, you're hand picking them. Nothing's being brought into your restaurant at 7 a.m.
Nope.
to get checklist in by, the morning sous chef or whatever it may be. And then
Right.
being a one man show, doing a 10-person event, it's such a big logistical headache that you have to do everything and you literally touch everything, which in
Everything.
turns, it's like you're putting your signature and, on every single thing. So how do
Everything.
you charge for that? I think that's priceless, right?
It is priceless. I agree. I try to, in the whole meeting and talking to someone, I try to lay the groundwork as far as, what to expect as for pricing, what it is I do, exactly what you said in detail. I'm in charge of every detail. So that way they're not, contacting someone else and worried about this and that. They're in complete contact with me. Um, but laying the foreground as far as what to kind of expect with pricing, um, what it is I'm doing and what it entails, and then also what it is they want. Uh, a lot of these people, and I don't want to say unfortunately because it's not unfortunately, but they want a lot of the same things because it's based off an experience they had from me that they want someone else to have. And, you know, but that being said, like I customize a menu to try to create different experiences for people. And, knock on wood, so far, I've succeeded in that task because it is so stressful and it's hard to put a price tag on it. And luckily, knock on wood again, I haven't had anyone dispute any prices or feel that I'm, taking advantage of them, because one of the first things that I learned and that has stuck with me about business or being a chef or anything is that your client's best interest is your best interest. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied there.
Right.
But basically, if you're looking out for them, you're going to be looked out for, long term, short term, whatever it is. This, I think it goes kind of along with just ethics and mindset of, I'm trying to run a business and yes, I need to make money, but I can't shit on everyone and I can't just give a shitty product and run away with a bunch of money and just be like, well, this is what you signed up for. It's like, no, you're building yourself, your brand, I'm putting my name on it, just like you said, every step of the way. So it's got to shine.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, like, if Grant Achatz cooked every single part of your meal, that meal would have to cost, around a couple $1,000s.
Oh, absolutely.
Couple tens of thousands.
Absolutely.
And
if
that's
Grant's washed your dishes, you're paying at least 50.
That's what I'm saying. And
I'm no Grant.
and not to like bring anybody down or anything like that, but just to be realistic that, you, me, or Doug can cook the same product, the same, excellent way, but there's no way we're going to get, $10,000 ahead.
No.
But that comes, with, being famous and being world renowned. And
well, I think it's that
whatnot.
experience, that repetition of proving yourself, I think is how you start to justify pricing yourself accordingly.
Yes.
Once you're repetitively consistent and repetitively deliver that high quality that people come to know and expect, then that's when you can start to, build and inflate that a little bit. But I think that's an excellent question for, starting off. I know I did one event for this birthday party, and, we charged the lady, somewhere between like $800 or $900, but I felt awful because, the quality that came out of that wasn't what I was accustomed to in a restaurant. I mean, I was young at the time. I was 19. And so it is hard to sort of, how do you pay yourself in that scenario?
Was she happy? Was she satisfied? Was she like,
they were over the moon, they were thrilled, but there's still that like internal guilt of like, I could have done this better. Should I be charging them as much as I am?
Well,
of course.
And the hardest thing is to lay down the hardest thing is to say no to a client or a guest, right?
Absolutely. It's very hard to say no.
I've come across, people that are expecting the moon for $40 a head, and it's just like,
well,
it's not gonna happen here.
Yeah,
like, I'm sorry.
Let's not forget Vlad had to logistically find a TikTok instructional dancer for a party.
I had to find Maddie Ziegler, who was on Dance Moms, to get on a Zoom call and teach some young ladies, how to do TikTok dance moves. But besides the point, that was an awesome task, right? When you have a client
exactly,
that says,
it rises to the occasion.
Right. That was an $8,000 event that I did for 12-year-olds girls.
Yeah, I got a dinner Saturday. I cook for the mother back in November or December. And this dinner I'm doing Saturday is for her 13-year-old's birthday. It's 5 kids and 4 adults.
And that's the best to see, like, returning clients and people who, like, get it and appreciate your time. I think that's the hardest but most self-rewarding, when your clients appreciate the time and understand that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing.
People go to a restaurant and think like this shit just happens.
Right. Just I shit this out.
Magically,
enjoy.
just like comes out. There was no prep done. Like, why am I paying $13 for a Caesar salad? And it's like, no, like that came in a box. We had to wash it. We had to cut it. We had to spin it. We had to make
lettuce was grown 20 miles down the road.
56 ingredient Caesar dressing for no reason.
You doing a table side?
We're gonna whip it with Ultratex just to fuck with the prep cooks, and you're gonna pay money for that.
But how good is that feeling when you were able to deliver on that high expectation for a private event?
It's so fulfilling. It's And I think I owe a lot of that to the popularity of open kitchens, especially coming from where, we were stuck back in the hole behind a wall in a hot, stinky, smelly kitchen, cranking out, 400, 500, plates a night or covers a night, to where it became more popular to do an open style kitchen to just see who's cooking your food. And I got to open a couple places that were open kitchen and work in a few more. And you get gratification from that because people will interact with you and they'll ask you about this and they'll ask you about that. And it's gratifying as a chef and a cook to see the thing that you've put hard labor and work into go out to someone and them enjoy it, but then also be able to connect and talk with them. So that connects to accomplishing that big event, flawlessly, or what I thought was flawless or met my standards. It's such a huge sense of accomplishment. It's gratifying. It's an amazing feeling. It's that high. It's like, when you're getting murdered in the middle of service and you guys are cranking and it's just a fucking well-oiled machine. It's like you get that high when you've accomplished a goal like that. When I do a good dinner, it's awesome. I'm on cloud nine. It feels great. And it makes me want to keep doing it,
Yeah.
And it builds up from there, right? Because
absolutely,
you had a great
absolutely.
experience, your clients had a great experience, they want you back. Not only did and I think Chef Art said this, and we keep bringing it back with each pod, intimacy. The more intimacy you bring, the closer you get, to the people's heart, to their soul, and you build that relationship, and then
yes.
Whenever they think about food or tasty food, they're going to be thinking Chef John. He did this, event for us, and
I have
shit.
to thank them because they, like I said, the whole word of mouth advertisement. I mean, I've cleared through a neighborhood, and it's been great. And I've given them all different experiences, similar ideas on some things, but still executed differently. And they want more. They love it.
Yeah.
And like with this client that I'm cooking for again, I'm very lucky. She's like, do whatever you want. So I get a lot of creative freedom with that one.
But you're going to be feeding 13-year-olds.
Kids.
So
exactly.
So.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
and that's
they have
another
a very
challenge, right?
Refined palate. So
put your right. Where's the ketchup?
Yeah.
These kids eat sushi.
There's no.
Yeah. Oh, they're getting a crudo. They're gonna eat crudo.
The event I did avocado sushi, and everybody was for it, and mini croissants with smoked salmon.
Well, I think it's important, like you talked about, that social media piece, especially in this idea of, return business, because, as a private chef, kind of like what we're talking about, you don't have a restaurant, so you don't have an FOH staff. So you're also very much in charge of that experience. Yes. And so when you can document that experience that you're providing, and then people are able to see that experience and say, hey, I want that similar experience. Yep. That's, extremely helpful in continuing, your brand of experience, whatever that might be.
Absolutely. It really is. And it kind of helps you kind of document it and look at it along the way, and, what to grow from or what to, levitate towards.
Right.
It kind of helps you. And that's something, I met with a chef yesterday, or chef owner. They're new to Nashville, but they're from out west in California. They've got an amazing restaurant group. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. And he was very insightful. Just some small, simple things that he was telling me. I'm just like, that would help and organize. So the organization, like I said, looking at what maybe not to do, or to do something again, or what to maybe do something new. Like it's all crucial. They're all tools,
always forward.
Your biggest enemy is yourself. The more you can do to organize and set yourself up, the less chance there is of something going wrong. That's not always the case.
Let me go sell aerated beurre blanc sauce and then try to pull it off in somebody's makeshift kitchen real quick.
Oh yeah.
and then be like, never doing that again.
No,
Why
not
did
doing
why
that
did
one.
you have to why did you have to add the word froth? Like, why are we adding soy latch to butter and trying to immersion blend it on the
You can get a
fly?
what is it? You can get a fish pump
Oh,
or
fish
like a fish
bubbler,
tank
yeah.
pump.
Yep,
So
exactly.
Run it all night.
I've definitely been there. You know, my whole thing that I try to stay true to is like any meal that I try to provide has to have either truffles, foie gras, caviar, and then I've recently added wagyu to that list. But
Nice.
I think if it doesn't make sense for my brand, I'd rather lose the opportunity. And sometimes some of the best business people tell you like if you get rid of your most headached clients, like the client that yeah he pays okay, but he takes literally 6 weeks of planning a menu, and then week one away he goes, yeah, I was thinking, and let's change the wagyu to chicken. Let's change the foie gras to chicken liver. Instead of caviar, can we do masago? And then instead of fresh truffles, let's just do truffle oil. And then you go, yeah, you know what? That just doesn't even. I don't feel comfortable serving you
Yeah,
that.
no, what's the point? It's not my brand. It's not my idea.
And
Yeah.
people will hit me up on the gram and be like, they'll like choose pictures on my gram and be like, I want this, and then I'll send them a price and then be like, I just don't hear back from them, and it's like,
Right.
okay, well this is what you asked for. And sometimes I go, I'm a little cocky on pricing, and I've definitely lost a lot of clientele. But then at the end of the day, it's like I'm going to the fucking grocery store. I'm buying these groceries at market price, not wholesale price. I'm not
Yeah.
buying a $10 case of romaine. I'm buying 3 heads of romaine at $10. Like, there's a
Right.
big difference,
Yeah.
in costing. You can't have a 30% food cost doing some of these private events, and then
Agreed.
your margin of error is like, I remember I did this event and I left lamb chops on the grill on the Weber, and it wasn't my Weber, and it was running hotter than my Weber, and that's it. Like, what are you gonna say at that point? Like, yeah, I fucking charge your lamb chops. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy. Sorry. It's still
And
delicious.
like you really have to be confident in what you're selling in.
Yes.
And then there's so many questions about a chef coming into a kitchen. Well, what's your stovetop? What's the brand? What's what
Absolutely.
equipment do you have there? And then do you, like I'll forget blend oil or something like that, and then you almost, it goes back to that organization. Like, now I gotta have a Cambro fill with dry goods that I might
Yep.
need,
Yep.
that I might have
a
not
big
not had on my
big black
bucket list.
Cambro box. It's it's not quite
Which-
styrofoam. It's better than styrofoam.
Exactly. So
But
shout out to
that's-
Cambro for keeping us organized.
Oh my
Appreciate,
god, it's the
appreciate
best
that.
thing. I love Cambro. The
Cambro is
Cambro box is the shit.
everything inside my cabinets is Cambro. And I am a Cambro ambassador. So like, I'll get
hell yeah.
obnoxious amounts of Cambro gear, and I'll honestly hand it out to a lot of my friends because, one, it's convenient. Second, we use it in the industry. Like,
Hell yeah.
we're built to like that stuff. It's like, with kids going to high school and working on a Mac, they go to college, they're gonna buy a Mac. Us working
Right.
in the industry, we work with Cambro products. We get out, we do our own thing, we buy Cambro products.
You're gonna buy Cambro, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it
And-
just feels like home.
Exactly, and it just like the easeability of
What-
like cleaning
yeah.
it, and just like,
If it works, it works.
exactly.
That's right. That's right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You
So-
got more important things to worry about, like how you're gonna bubble up this sauce that you accidentally sold to a client.
Yo, honestly, what? I was trying to be a Joel Robuchon with a beer palate, and it,
Oh,
it
yeah.
didn't
What
didn't
is it,
work in my habit, in my
Champagne and
favor.
caviar on a hot dog and Budweiser budget.
Exactly.
Well, Chef, is there anything that you would like our viewers to know, or things you have coming on before we let you go?
Yeah, I got a couple things. So being that it did slow down the past few months. Not to deter from proper provisions and with the way it's going. Still going to be doing all my events and taking on clients. But some other things I wanted to focus on this year were pop-ups. So being that I'm half Costa Rican, I want to do a Costa Rican pop-up with a lot of food that I grew up with, just done, a little bit, nicer, a little bit more modern, but still super simple. So something I kind of want to work on to get around town, get around Nashville, just because I miss the restaurant game. I was burnt out, but I do miss a lot of the restaurant game, the camaraderie, creativity with people, talking about food. It's just a big thing, and obviously
It's a
when you
huge
work,
social piece.
absolutely, absolutely. Um,
Honestly, I've been missing that.
that's why this is so
The going
enjoyable,
into work
talking
and
to
like
like-minded people.
Right.
exactly like having, like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? Like shooting the shit, kind of, alleviating some of those anxiety and, you know, your day-to-day struggles, and whatnot. I hope you're still hearing me.
Yes, I'm good.
Perfect. I
So
love the
you,
Garfield
I
loading.
don't understand what we're good.
so you got your Costa Rican pop-ups coming up. Are those will be in Nashville?
They will be in Nashville. It's probably going to be later towards the second half of the year.
Okay.
Like I said, it's just in the beginnings, but it's something I'm working towards. Something that's going to happen sooner. I'm gonna start offering basically meal kits. I'm going to propose a menu. Have an order by date. I'll drop off or deliver or pick up or deliver. Limited quantities per week, just something to kind of add on to proper provisions.
Yeah, so
And
kind of jumping in there real quick. We did have an earlier guest, Chef Francis, on the pod, and he's also kind of doing exactly what you're saying. So he'll go and make the meal of the week, let's say Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Take pictures of that, post it, hard Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and get, orders in, and then he will either deliver or pick up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and he kind of works off this 3-day week. And I've been ordering for him, I would say at least 4 or 5 months straight. Once a week, he does a
nice.
different meal, and same thing. He kind of said, right when the holidays started, and kind of where we're getting over that holiday couch potato type of environment where we're okay 2021, we have some things that we want to do, everybody's kind of like trying to get back on track, and things are starting to look in a greener direction. So people I think will start coming out of their shells February, March, April, come
Uh,
around. Hopefully there's
that's
not
what I'm
a
thinking.
COVID
Yeah,
2021 type of situation happening, which
yeah.
would
I mean,
be
you
fucking
know,
devastating.
right. I
But I
agree.
think
We'll
it's
we'll
really
see the
cool
effects of this for a little while.
to do a different meal and kind of have that freedom and have people kind of choose in to hop in, or skip that week, or what it may not be. But I think the biggest thing with that is like following through and hitting people up. Like, I know there's been weeks where I'm like, I don't know if I'll order for him, but then he personally reached out to me in a text like, hey, we got this and this going on,
Right. Yeah.
and
And
stuff
that way
like
you can also get an idea of what people want to eat, and that way it gives
Right.
you something fun
100%.
or
Yeah,
cool.
and like there was a couple of things where like I don't really like Thai food because too much fish sauce for me, and I don't really like Indian food cuz too many spices for me. And like those two ones, I'm like, I was on the edge. I was like, nah, I'll pass. I'll go next week. And he's like, bro, like, trust me, like, I got you. And I was like, all right, let's get it. And then, he had like, for Indian food, uh, butter chicken tiki masala. And I liked it. It was great. It was not too much, like,
Yeah,
it
no,
was
that's a
it was a
good
good
base. It's like a
experience.
good
Yeah.
base dish.
And then
Yeah.
same thing with like the Thai food. It wasn't too much fish sauce or too heavy on the uh, stinky socks aromatics coming from my food. So,
Oh man,
you
I
know,
love Asian.
and it opened
Asian
me
cuisine
up
is
too.
like,
Yeah.
oh, that's my jams. That's
Yeah.
what I
I don't
cook a
know.
lot, mostly
Knock
at home.
sauce
A lot of
will
Asian food.
knock you off your socks, you know? It's,
Oh yeah, I
they're
bring the
potent, they're
funk.
good. I get it. But, you know, I've worked with a lot of chefs where it's like fish sauce and everything. And
Too
I'm
much
like,
fish sauce. Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just add
A little goes a long
MSG,
way.
you know, neutral flavor. And I think a lot of palates are not ready for that yet. And, you know, a lot of people are looking for that. I don't know.
It's getting there. It's getting there. You know, kimchi had its glow up in the past few years, and you
Definitely
know,
did.
lacto fermentation is picking up and becoming more popular. So,
Right. And
you
when
know,
we're talking about
it's
like lacto
developing.
fermented, it's just like talking about kosher dill pickles. Like that's lacto fermented. Like, you know, and then like yeah, people blow up different markets. Just like salmon wasn't popular, and now it's like the most
Popular
popular
again.
fish. But you know, things change and trends change, and companies with huge money kind of make us eat certain things because it's profitable for them. So, kind of wrapping up the podcast, and I want to do say that we have a couple. Phil Soda is thanking us for the answers, and he's saying podcast is top dollar. Chef Gordo Nice is saying you're creating a wonderful language via your ethos on the plate. So shout out to them for tuning in. And then we have Douglas's dad asking, what makes Nashville chicken?
Oh, I think we talked about this a little bit last time. It is a combination of fat and spices, and I can't really tell you much more, else I'll get shot and buried out somewhere. No, I'm just kidding. So what you do is you obviously brine your chicken. However,
Bone
you
in,
incorporate a
bone
little
out.
spice. Bone in, always bone in, juicier, always. Unless you're making a sandwich, no bones in that shit. Uh, so brine it, dredge it, fry it, and then you take the same oil that you fried it in and you dip it back in that and you coat it with the same spice mixture that you made to brine and season the flour with.
Oh,
But it's a combination of that fat hitting back with the new spice on the
so
spicy
it's
chicken
like
already.
layer on layer of the same.
Yes.
That
So
sounds
get me
delicious.
right. You dip it back in the oil because the oil doesn't get soggy. It might get a little greasy, but it doesn't get soggy, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're not like you're not giving them a bowl of grease. You're just doing a little dip, just so the
Yeah,
extra spices have something else to cling on to.
a
And
little
that's
A
kind
lot
of
of
punch.
like
places will do it
almost
fresh out of the fryer, but then traditionally you take a little bit more of the fryer oil and you dabble a little on top, and then you hit it with the more spice, and
That
every
sounds
time.
good.
Oh yeah, it's good.
hey,
And
and
there's so many places. There's so many places to get hot chicken here. It's
you get
insane.
to enjoy the experience twice, like I've heard. So
Oh yes, you do.
you're getting your
I've
money's
got some
worth.
experiences. That's a whole nother podcast.
Is
Well,
that
chef,
extra late night?
extra, yes.
Yeah,
Is
Pepto is your best
the
friend.
morning after with chefs? How's your Nashville chicken experience?
So we have a question for you before we let you go. It's something that's been boggling the minds of us and our other chefs. So Vlad, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah, so we don't have an answer, but maybe you do. Why do we use 86? Why 86?
Oh,
What's the meaning behind it? Where did it come from? How did you find out about it? Why do you use it?
I mean, I've used it from working in kitchens. Obviously, I don't know where it came from. I can't think of. I know I've talked to someone about it before, but I really don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I love it. It makes sense, but
It
I
makes
don't know
sense,
why.
but the origin is unknown, and it's definitely a very intriguing conversation to.
Yeah, it's like one of those other things.
I,
They used to say file it, or throw it in file 86. So I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, yeah,
Windows 86? Is that where it originated from?
Well, I don't know if that's where, but I've heard that.
Could it
It's a
be a
good theory.
cop
Or,
thing?
you know,
Like
file
that
it.
was my thing. Maybe it's like a cop code, like 86.
Yeah, but they
That guy's
vary.
dead.
Those are different depending on, where.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I mean, there are a couple universal codes, but I don't
Well,
know.
the goal for 2021, the journey of late night with chefs, if we do nothing else right, it is to at maybe December 2021 to have finally cracked the code
Oh
of
hell yeah!
Y86, and
All right.
we have some very interesting people coming up, so they might have some good insight as to why.
So,
Nice. Nice.
Filled Soda tuning in on Twitch says, nah, man, I live in Ireland and we use it, so it's not a cop thing. So, my theory goes
There
out
you
the
go.
window.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing from Ireland, right? Everybody in the industry, 86.
My only guess is that it has to be military, then maybe something
might be like
militaristic
something
or
in the
religious.
Scoffier books,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Menu item read
Yeah.
out.
Buried in the
86.
gibberish of in a Scoffier book somewhere.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's
Scoffier
crazy,
said it,
right?
and then Point
It's
kept
like
it alive.
we use it all the time. We've heard it 1,000 times. We see
All
it
the
in
time.
every. It doesn't matter what type of restaurant you are.
Not even in the industry. People that don't even work in the industry, like 86 it. Okay, they know. They just throw it away.
Right. It's
Yep.
crazy. It's like, what are we genetically bred to know that 86 means the.
86.
It's
I
not
like
in
that
your fridge.
theory.
You're not gonna
It's
cook
in
it.
our brains.
It's like they say the brain is the only organ that named itself. So
Yeah.
maybe 86 is the only number that.
It's just the only number
Yeah,
that didn't
it
have
just
anything
appeared.
else associated
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
means
We
nothing
all-
but get
We
rid
all
of it
just
or
got
it's
a
gone.
DLC download.
So no, but
For sure.
Chef, I want to thank you so much for coming
Yes,
on the
thank
pod
you, Chef.
and
Thank you
sharing
guys
your
for having me.
experiences.
This is awesome.
What you're doing now. If you can kind of let all our viewers tuning in and everybody in Nashville, how to reach you, how to contact you, what are the best platforms, and what's the best way to do business with you?
Awesome. Yeah, you can always reach me on my social media, Instagram and Facebook at proper_Nash, capital N. Website is propernash.com. It has all my other contact. You can email me on there. It's got pricing, all the good stuff on it. And, like I said, social media, website, hit me up anytime. I'm always available. I'm around. Willing to travel with my business. Also look for YouTube channel coming in the next couple months. Whoop. So
That's what's
some
up.
other big things I want to work on.
Diving in deep.
I'm doing it
I
big.
wish you,
If not
I
now,
wish you
when?
luck on it. It's
Thank
a
you
big
guys.
learning
Thanks
curve.
for having me.
But you're gonna have fun, and I know you're gonna be successful at it. I love your
Thank you,
hunger,
thank you.
and I love everything
Very
you're
hungry.
about, and everything you've shared with us just hits home. And
Definitely.
we had an amazing podcast as always.
Good deal,
Everybody viewing in, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Hit that notification button somewhere here. We don't have those ones yet.
Wherever
but
they're at.
wherever, just hit them. And if you have any questions for Chef John, make sure to hit him up in the DMs directly or hit us up, and we'll forward the flow where it needs to be. So thank you so much for everybody tuning in to another amazing podcast, Late Night with Chefs, Truffle Boy and Doug doing our duties, and guest chef John sharing his amazing experiences, story, life, swagger, and everything he's about, and I love it. Thank you so much, Chef John. Thank you so
guys.
much to
Thank you
our
so much.
viewers.
Thank you, everybody.
Anytime. Thank you all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me your ears.
Of course.
Awesome,
Everyone
everybody.
stay safe. Wear your mask.
Wear
Be
your
safe
mask.
out there.
Y86,
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
guys.
night. And we are wrapping up the pod.